let's talk about the single women, single moms that are feeling like they want to get into a house. Maybe they want to get a house for their kids to have that stability, but they're thinking and they're so overwhelmed with all the things that go into it and thinking, is it even possible for me to buy a house? So let's jump into that and let's talk about that and see, is it even possible for a divorced mom or a single woman or a single mom like to even get into a house today?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rob. They're raising kids and having a single income is really overwhelming. And I think that it's okay to acknowledge that it is overwhelming. But let's break down like ways you can figure out how to buy a house if that's a goal that you have. It is possible. Statistically, in 2023, 2024, according to the National Association of Realtors, 20% of home buyers actually were single women. And I think a good chunk of those women were very likely single moms. I mean, there's no way to identify that on a contract or on a loan application if they're a single mom, but statistically, single women are buying homes. And so it is possible, but I think that it takes some goal setting and knowledge and preparation and understanding. And if you are a single mom, there are maybe some extra benefits that you could get or that you might have, not everybody, but that you might have that might actually play in your favor.
Yeah, and I think this is a topic that resonates with you and might be a little bit near and dear to your heart because you were raised by a single mom.
Right.
She had 3 little girls. And like, what was that like for your mom when she first got into her house?
Yeah,
like,
I know.
She was able to buy a house on her own for herself and her 3 little girls.
Right. Yeah. I think that it's funny. I was probably in seventh or 8th grade. And so my understanding of like how impactful that was really didn't come until my adulthood. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe my mom did that. And in reflection, it did come with a lot of sacrifice. And we lived with my grandparents or my grandma for a few years. And I shared a room with my mom while she was saving money. And, she worked hard. She worked a lot. And I'm so thankful for her example. And it ended up for her on kind of like a bigger picture. She held on to that house. She eventually did get remarried, and she and my stepdad bought a house later on, but they turned her house into a rental property. And so, when she bought it, it was $62,000, I think is what she paid for it. And I understand that price is not available anymore, but she was able to, they turned it into a rental property and rented it for years and was able to take advantage of the tax benefits from having a rental property and depreciation and all that fun stuff. And then eventually she sold it for, I want to say almost $300,000. And so that was a significant amount of money that she made off of that house and was able to, she just made that like really smart decision, I think, when we were little. So I think it's possible now. I do a lot of loans for single women, divorcing women, single moms. And so let's just kind of get into like what.
So let's jump into that. Let's talk about like, are there down payment assistance programs for single women or single moms?
There are down payment assistance programs. They are not typically identified for that specific. Now, could there be a charity in your area that really is interested in single moms, single women? Possibly, and I think that's going to come down to kind of a Google search, but there are down payment assistance programs out there that are not, you don't have to be a first-time home buyer. They do have rules around credit score. The lowest assistance program I've seen allows a credit score as low as 600. Some programs will allow you to do they'll assist you with the down payment. Some of them will do down payment and closing costs or some of the closing costs. There are some unique ways that you can maybe not unique, but just other ways to get down payment help. If you're able to get a gift from a family member, maybe from your parents, that could be applied towards a down payment.
So can I ask you, these different programs that might be available, is it a separate step that they need to do? Do they need to secure that down payment assistant program prior to applying for a loan, or is it done simultaneously? Is it something you as a mortgage broker do for them, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that it's really important if you want to buy a house, whether you're a single mom or you're anybody want to buy a house, you need to talk to a loan advisor. And I think talking to an expert, not an online lender that doesn't have the advisory expertise behind them, because sometimes, especially when you're working in that single parent space, there's a different level of like creativity and understanding you have to know that a lot of just like, I think online lenders are really like, they want it to be vanilla, so I think it's important to work with a good loan broker, loan advisor. But you should get pre-approved, basically, is what I'm getting at. Like, you need to find out, can you buy the house? Now, let's just say that you want to buy a new house. You should get pre-approved. What if you're going through divorce and you want to keep the house that you're in? You should also get pre-approved. You should treat that like it's a purchase. And there are some other things that go around that specific scenario that we can talk about on another video. But you should talk to a loan advisor and figure out, what do you qualify for? Have your income looked at, have your credit looked at, what's your debt, and have it so that we know you can get a loan.
So what you're saying is they should reach out to a trusted advisor that's got some skin in the game and has had probably some skin in the game for a while. That's not brand new, that knows what they're doing, that's got some experience. Because this might be a little bit more tricky of a loan than just like your cookie cutter, got great income, got great credit, and this is what I qualify for. There's some other nuances going on here that you got to take into account, and a good advisor can help steer you in the right direction and put together a game plan for you specifically to get into a house. Now, I will say this, like, sometimes there's bumps in the road, right? Like, so what do you say to somebody that, like, maybe they're not quite there yet? Like, what's the advice that you give them?
Right. Well, I mean, let's come up with a plan, right? I think that if you want to buy a house and we know what you want your monthly payment to be, then we can back that out and figure out what your purchase price needs to be. And if we know the purchase price, then we know the down payment amount, and we can estimate closing costs. And so you know how much you need to save. The other thing that's really important as far as when you're buying a house and maybe you're a single mom is, what does your income look like? And so that's a big part of all of this, because if you're freshly a single mom, you cannot use your alimony and child support as income. But if we can show that you have 6-month history of receiving child support or alimony, and that there will also be a continuance of 3 years. So if you have a 17-year-old, it's not going to work. But if your kids are, 10, 12.
So you're saying the child support wouldn't work. If they've got a 17-year-old kid, that child support is going to end when they become 18.
Right. So that part of your
But if they were
income.
getting alimony, they could still use the alimony as income.
Yeah, as long as there's a 3-year continuance. So I think that's really important, because you've got your job, your 40-hour-a-week job that you have, and you do need to have a 2-year history of working. So sometimes we run into issues where, like, mom was a stay-at-home mom, and now she's divorced and she has to go back to work, and she doesn't have a 2-year history. Sometimes that's just the thing. The job might be good enough, but we need to have a 2-year history of employment. And unfortunately, stay-at-home moms work so hard, but we can't use it as employment. If you get into a salaried position, that could be a little bit different, but this is why it's important to talk to a loan advisor, because you need to know what the plan is so you can set yourself up. Now, I've definitely had single moms co-sign with their parents. They've had parents that were willing to co-sign so that their daughter and grandkids could get into the house.
Awesome. So I just want to be clear. So, like, if, let's say a mom is getting divorced, she has 3 kids, and let's just say, like, one's 17, one's 14, and let's just say the other one is 10. and she's getting child support. So she could use some of that child support to qualify for a home. But as soon as that, she couldn't use the 17-year-olds because that 17-year-old is going to be turning 18, within the next 12 months.
Sure.
But she could use the 14-year-old and the 10-year-old because there's going to be a 3-year history there or a 3-year continuance of child support. So she could use that income.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's really important to know. Important if you're going through a divorce that you talk to a loan advisor who understands this nuance of it, because alimony can be paid out as in like a big lump sum or set up as income. And so depending on what your goals are, what you want to do, you want to make sure that the alimony is set up so that you can use it. So I think that's super important. All of these are very important reasons to work with a loan advisor expert.
Awesome. And so you could help guide them on how to structure that and what they need to do in getting the alimony set up, child support set up, so it's done correctly and properly as far as it would be concerning buying a house.
Right, yeah. Important to talk to a loan advisor to see like how much do you want your house payment to be, and then so that I do think that there's something to like the law of attraction. And when you know what your numbers are, I can qualify for this, or this is what I want to qualify for, and this is how much money I need to save, you will start noticing the things in your life that will help make those goals happen. And so I really encourage you, if you are a single mom wanting to buy a house, there are a lot of women that can do it, and I know that you can do it. I've helped dozens of women do it, and so I know that it's possible.
Are there any other hacks that can be used for income or for down payment or anything like that could help assist somebody get into a house?
I don't know if they're hacks necessarily. Like you can get a gift. Like if your parents were willing to give you a gift, it's got to be a family member to help kind of boost your down payment. If you are if you're going through the divorce and there's some kind of payout that you get, set that money aside so that you can use that money to buy a house in the future. Something I tell all my divorcing couples is that you need to freeze your credit. That's really important to do. There's another adult in your life who knows your social security number and your birthday and where you've lived the past 10 years probably. So I think that you want to keep your credit in good standing, as good as you can. So freeze it so that that other person can't, we like to think that people can separate amicably, and things are great and good until they're not. And so I think that just to be on the safe side, and honestly, everybody should freeze their credit. So that kind of is across the board. Keep your credit in good standing. And so that when you're ready to buy a house, get a job, stick with a job get your 2-year history. If you can get a down payment assistance, great. If you can get a gift, that actually is better. If you can strategize some of the settlement from your divorce to go towards the down payment, then I think you should do that. Those are the big things that I would work on. And if you have a family member who will co-sign with you, then that can get you in faster. And I think that that's always great.
Awesome. So Liz, I think it is awesome what you're doing for divorced women and for single moms and for single women out there that are wanting to buy a house. It is possible to get into a home if you're single, if you're divorcing, if you're a single mom. Please reach out to a mortgage advisor and just talk to them and see what's possible and set up a plan and get a game plan going so that you can get into a house, because it is possible for you to get into one.